Welcome to EnfinityCast. I'm your host, Elias Whitlock. With me, as always, is the brilliant historian Marin Sage.
It's great to be here, Elias.
Marin, I want you to picture something. London, 1801. A 13-year-old boy named Andrew Brenning is publicly hanged for stealing a spoon. To the law of the time, he wasn't a child who made a mistake. He was a miniature adult, a criminal fully deserving of an adult's punishment. For centuries, this was the grim reality.
It's a chilling thought. The legal concept was that children under 7 were incapable of criminal intent, but from 7 to 14, it was a gray area. And over 14, you were on your own. You could be tried, imprisoned, and even executed right alongside hardened adults.
Exactly. So the question we're exploring today is, when did that stop? When did we stop seeing a child criminal and start seeing a delinquent, a new distinct category of person?
The change really began in the late 19th century, during what we call the Progressive Era. Cities were exploding with new immigrants and the urban poor. And a new generation of social reformers, many of them middle-class women, looked at the children roaming the streets and didn't see inherent evil. They saw victims of circumstance.
These were the so-called child savers.
Precisely. They argued that a child's character was malleable, not fixed. They believed that poverty, neglect, and a lack of education were the true culprits. And to advance their cause, they needed to change the language. They needed to invent a new idea.
And that idea was the juvenile delinquent. It sounds so clinical, almost medical.
That was the point. Criminal implies malice and a need for punishment. Delinquent, on the other hand, suggests a sickness, a misguidance that can be treated. It reframed the entire problem from one of sin to one of science and social work. The child wasn't evil, their environment was. And if you could change the environment, you could save the child.
This new philosophy needed a new kind of institution to put it into practice, and that led directly to a landmark moment in legal history.
In 1899, in Cook County, Illinois, the very first juvenile court in the world was established. And it was unlike any court that came before it. The proceedings were informal, often held in a judge's chambers rather than a foreboding courtroom. There were no prosecuting attorneys, no juries.
The judge was meant to act under the doctrine of parens patriae, Latin for parent of the nation. They weren't an arbiter of guilt, but a wise and kind father figure who would determine what was in the child's best interest.
The goal wasn't punishment, but rehabilitation. Instead of prison, children were sent to newly created reform schools or placed under the supervision of probation officers. On the surface, it was an incredibly humane and revolutionary leap forward.
But there was a dark side to this invention, wasn't there?
Absolutely, because these weren't considered criminal proceedings. Children were stripped of basic legal rights, the right to a lawyer, the right to a jury, the right to cross-examine witnesses. A judge had almost absolute power to intervene in a family's life, often based on vague offenses like immorality or incorrigibility.
And the system disproportionately targeted the children of the poor and immigrants, enforcing a very specific middle-class idea of what a good child should be.
And those reform schools, they were often far from the nurturing environments the child savers envisioned. Many became brutal, prison-like institutions, the road to hell paved with good intentions.
So the invention of the delinquent was this profound double-edged sword. It was born from a compassionate desire to save children, but it also created a powerful and sometimes coercive system of social control, the legacy of which we are still debating in our justice system today.
It's a perfect example of how a simple change in a word can revolutionize the world, for better and for worse.
Thank you for that incredible insight, Marin, and thank you all for listening. Join us next time on EnfinityCast as we unravel another thread from the tapestry of history.